think it's recording.
It's recording the call.
This recording is for training purposes.
I hereby provide consent for the recording of this call.
That's right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Let's Do a Podcast. Today we talk about Space Captain, Captain of Space. And I hope you guys will hang out and listen to what we have to talk about this interesting movie. So let's start a podcast.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast. This is a podcast. Royalty-free music now. Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast. And that's the end of the song. Space music.
Boom. Oh, man. See, I know I say this every time. I love that we have our own music machine over here, Anthony.
Drum solo. Do. I'm bad at drums, so.
Oh, man. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So as we said, we're talking about Space Captain, Captain of Space.
Space Captain, Captain of Space. That's how
that was pretty good.
Should be said.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, it's very much like the 1930s like serial Buck Rogers type feel to it. So I was pretty excited to watch this movie.
Yeah, I think both of us we're a little excited because it's on the funny, like it's supposed to be a stupid funny movie. And okay, well, before we get into the movie,
we'll get into it here in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about Ryan. What are you drinking?
Oh man, so not too long ago, I did a fun beer trade with one of my friends from Houston. So I have a bunch of Houston beer I need to go through. So today I'm drinking from Great Heights, Haze Not Haze. Haze Not Hate.
Nice. Where's Great Heights at?
They are in Houston, somewhere in Houston. Not exactly sure.
In Houston.
Houston. See, I'm trying to
see. Is it Houston or Houston?
Yeah, sure. Let's just say sure.
Okay.
So it's a 7.8 ABV. Obviously, it is a haze. Let's see. Brewed with Citra, Mosaic, Vic's Secret, and Sabro hops, or Sabre, depending how you want to say it. And then,
now your beer is made with lots of Sabre.
And then my new favorite glass from a home brewer.
Ooh.
Called Misfit. Got one of his glasses, and it's a very hazy beer. So
nice.
I haven't even tried a sip yet. But what are you drinking, Anthony?
Oh, well, let's see the first reaction here before we get into mine. What are your thoughts?
It does not taste like hate, so they did a good job.
Yeah, hey.
No, it's actually really good. It's
nice.
Really, it's a very easy drink, that's for sure.
Oh, well, next time I get in the Houston area, I'm definitely gonna have to get down there and try that out.
Yeah,
if they have it on tap still, like in a year from now.
Yeah, who knows when the hell that'll be?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I have so much Houston beer. Like, I know the next episode I'll be drinking another Houston beer because really that's what my fridge is full of right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I stayed somewhat local to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am drinking. Let's see if I can get this on the camera here. I'm bad at this.
There you go. Back up a little bit.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. I'm drinking Hop to Be Square from Hop and Sting out of this is out of Grapevine here in Texas. It is a New England style haze. Their little blurb on the back of this is it's another haze. It's like you know it. We're just gonna drink hazes all the time, right?
Right.
Hazy IPAs. They say it's a new wave in IPA. Copious amounts of Bravo, Sultana, and Azaka hops give it a burst of orange, pineapple, and papaya, while oats add a silky, smooth texture. The look and taste feels at odds with the traditional IPA drinkers. Haze fans, like yours truly, insist the new style is here to stay and is good for you. Those clear IPA drinkers just don't get it. I agree. Whatever it is, don't try to fight it. It's Hop to Be Square. And I have it in my community glass here. So I'm just going to take a quick sip of that.
So while he's taking a sip of that, I do just want to say we are attempting to actually record the video of this. So that's why whenever we said showing you and that kind of stuff. So we might be doing some things that also kind of goes with the video. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully the video turns out. If not, we're just nixing the video until we can actually podcast together.
It's like, yes, we're gonna do some visual gags on here. For those of you on the audio medium, use your imagination.
You can't see, but I'm attempting a handstand right now.
It's like, standing on your head, doing that. The one thing, I don't know if you noticed this. I don't know if you've seen these cans a lot, but they added so it's always been a double dry hop, but they've added like this DDH little thing on here. It's like I like the aesthetic of this can too. It's very like a 1980s neon colors. I love that. I love that whole aesthetic. It's really cool.
Yeah, it kind of goes with our theme, honestly.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, just as a warning for all our viewers out there, look forward to some potentially some new logos maybe coming forth. So
yes, I'm so excited. We've been. I'm not gonna share too much, but we've been looking at a few things, seen a few drafts, and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I gotta go check on that again.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
But so actually, I just want to go ahead and say that if you want to follow us on Untappd, mine is Beer with Purpose. Anthony, what's yours? Do you even remember?
I don't even remember, dude.
Okay, well, you can follow mine, and then we can add Anthony. But I'm always looking for more fun beer drinkers. You can also find us individually on Instagram. I know I have a beer Instagram, which is Beer with Purpose. Anthony actually said yesterday he's trying to be more Instagrammy.
Yeah, I'm working on it, but we'll see.
What's yours? A Beanbag?
No, I think it's my first initial and last name, so I'm gonna adjust that and then I'll share it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe the next episode, maybe you can we can share him more. But anyways, guys, so yeah, that's just our individual. Obviously, you can find our actual Instagram and all that stuff. We'll mention all that later. Blah 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 blah. But anyways, so Anthony, what do you think about your beer? Like, how would you rate it on Untappd?
If I were to rate this on Untappd, so I've had this both. I've had this both from the tap directly, and I've had this in the can. And I gotta say, I'd probably rate it. I'm a tough grader on Untappd. If to rate it above a 4, it's got to be like freaking awesome. So that's Agreed. The scale of what I do. And usually I'll rate something within a 3. Unless it's terrible, then I'll rate it like in the 2s. Right. So I would rate this like a 3.7, 3.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for me, I was like, unless I love it, I just don't rate it anymore. Because I know this is a whole conversation on its own of I don't want to give it a bad score and people see it and like, oh, I don't want to try it. But people need to try a beer, no matter what the score is, in my opinion. Like, if it's a shitty score, I still kind of want to try it because their tastes don't match mine. So, anyways, that I kind of just decided for my sake, like, if I don't love it, I'm not gonna rate it. But
I will say there are times where I will go to the store and I'll be looking at different beers. Now I'll look on Untappd to look up scores on it, and I will look to see if you, and I think I'm only friends with a few people on there. I'm friends with you, your wife, and Chris Gard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think those are the 3. You are the 3 that I'm friends with on there, and I will look to see if you guys have had it and how you guys have scored it. And if it's like anything below a 3.5, I just don't go there. So
I think in general I've just stopped scoring. So if you ever go and you're like, he didn't give it a score, you can text me. I'll be like, oh, it was really good. I just didn't score it.
Yeah.
It's just almost easier just to like post it real quick so I remember I had it. But
you gotta fill out a short survey on the flavors.
I would actually give mine probably for a haze, just because, like, man, that's a tough field right now. I think it just will be in general.
It's quite the crowded field, yes.
I would say like 3.7, 75. I can't remember the little scale.
Hey, that's respectable.
Yeah, I mean it's still really good, but at the same time, thinking about all the other hazes and all that kind of stuff, like that's a hard field, but it's still a good one. I definitely drink this one again.
Yeah, where they usually lose me is the aftertaste. You can get that. You can get that front end of the flavor. It's pretty.
Yes.
I feel like it's pretty easy to nail that. A lot of places do that very well. But it's how the flavor of the beer lingers. And
Yeah.
places like Community with their IPA is pretty good. Turning Point, amazing on particularly on the aftertaste portion of that. But it seems like it's really hard to nail that down, how that just flavor lingers there. And sometimes it's just like tastes great drinking, and then like as soon as the flavor starts leaving your palate, it's like, what is this? What is this flavor in my mouth?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if the overall experience isn't spot on, it can really ruin that beer, you know?
Yeah.
But, all right. Movie time?
Movie time. It's time for Space Captain, the captain of space.
So, on Space Captain, Captain of Space, it is an adventure comedy sci-fi movie. You can find it on Amazon Prime right now for free. Again, right now, who knows, whenever you try to go look at it, if you decide to go watch this movie.
So it says it came out. Yeah, it says it came out in 2020, but I actually did some digging. It actually came out in 2014.
Yes.
And it was released on Amazon in 2020.
I was gonna actually say that too.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was a 2020 movie, but it was not. Honestly, the reviews for it are very scattered on this. I thought that was very interesting. Because before I sat down to watch it, I was like, okay, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to do the research on it, then watch it. Mm-hmm. So doing the research, some of the reviews, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to watch this movie. It sounds hilarious or really fun and interesting and would keep my attention. So I don't know if maybe that might have ruined me for this, but yeah. So
yeah, it's definitely some movies. If you get set up for it's going to be an amazing movie, and then it's like not quite to that level, then it's like the expectations were too high.
Right.
So I feel like maybe that was an effect in our viewing experience for this movie.
Yeah, because normally I just go in like nothing. I don't want to know anything except for I've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
And I never know what's going to happen. But this time I was like, okay, I'm going to do the opposite and let's see what happens.
The trailer, if you watch nothing else, check out the trailer for this movie.
Yes.
It is great.
The trailer is so good. I loved the trailer so much. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That's the best part of the movie is the trailer. But
it really distills the essence of the movie into like I think a 2-3 minute cut here. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. So, Anthony, go ahead and do the quick. I say quick, so hopefully quick rundown of this
for
movie.
me, yeah.
It should be quick.
So here's the synopsis. The evil king Zano is using a gravity ray to crash the moon into the Earth. The only hope is Rocky Laser.
Okay.
Best pilot,
Hold
athlete,
on.
marksman. Oh, there's a long list of things he is.
I mean, okay. First, I'm just gonna jump around because I just can't. This ray gravity gun thing makes no sense.
Oh, right.
God, it's brutal. And then the king is I think the king was my favorite character out of everybody. Because whenever you first like get introduced to him, he's like not there, and he's like, well, where is he? And the guard's like, he's taking his nap. I think that's the only part I laughed at was like the whole like beginning nap scene. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so things that Rocky Laser is: best pilot, athlete, marksman, sword fighter, crooner, which we never get to see that, and beast tamer, which we see that a little bit. Things that he is not is respectful of women, at least initially.
Yeah. Even towards the end.
He does get a little bit woke during the course of the movie. Slightly.
Definitely a little bit.
Which I did find when you compare it to a lot of these other sci-fi adventure movies, particularly in the theme of like these 1930s movies, which I've seen a few of these, like your Buck Rogers. It really reminds me of the Japanese movie Prince of Space, which I saw watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. It kind of has the same vibe to it, but there's always like that the guy's got to rescue the female, and the female has no agency, and they kind of like go at that issue head on for these movies. There's always that thing, and so they the female of the characters the lady character, what was her name? Jackie?
I think so. That sounds right. My phone just turned off, so hold on.
It's gonna really kind of prove the point of the movie if I don't get her name right.
Jean
Is
Jarvis.
it Jean? Jean Jarvis. Yeah. So not Jackie. Cut that out.
Is that another G? Cut that out. No, all this is staying.
Like Anthony is a respectful woman. He just is bad at remembering character names.
Yes, names are hard, even for me.
One of the jokes in the movie is that Jean Jarvis, she's defined like some of the most important features. She's defined. That was that thing called the Bechdel test for a movie. How a female character is defined, and if she's defined in relationship to like a male character, then it doesn't pass that test. That and a few other things. And she's like the daughter of the president. So there's that. But then she's the first female professor. I think is her other thing.
Professor or doctor, I can't remember.
But she doesn't even remember what her field is.
Yes. She's like, nobody's asked me that. I don't know.
Yes, it's been so long. But she's like almost your classical female character in these types of movies. She has no agency. She faints at the slightest thing, which again, that's another one of the jokes they make throughout the course of the movie.
You were right. So she's the first female professor.
Yeah. And she faints. She like the thing she says is no.
Really, I mean, and that excuse me. That's one thing that I really liked about the movie was every time somebody would say something or do something, she's like, everyone looks, are you gonna faint? They say, like, are you gonna faint? Like, it was like the running joke.
Yeah. Our other characters we have, so we have Rocky Laser, who we already talked a little about a little bit. We have King Zano, who's played by Jeff Sproul, the writer of the movie.
Right.
So he's your classical ineffective villain during the course of these movies. You have Chip, the co-pilot, and like the boy wonder sidekick, which we'll talk about Chip in a little bit, but that was interesting. We have
Chip.
Prince Clark of the Moon Squirrels. Let's see, Dr. Horst. What was that guy's name? I have it written down here.
Dr. Horst Karlock?
Karlock?
Well, it's spelled K-R.
Yeah, Dr. Horst Karlock. Yeah. So he's like almost like an evil mad scientist type character, but like he reminds me of Dr. Krieger on Archer.
Yeah.
He reminds me of kind of that. And then we end up we have Chip Skipper, which we talked about, and then Baron Osric during the later portion of the movie as well. He kind of becomes like a side hero character as well. And then Astra, who's the daughter of King Zano. So those are the characters that we come across during the course of the movie. And then of course your random henchmen that are of course all around as well. Which I think there's like only 2 of them.
Yeah, there's only like 2 or 3 that play like so many different people. It's pretty funny.
But we start with so they're in the rocket ship X-1. So we start in chapter 3 of this movie.
Yeah, we have to read other stuff. Like
chapter 1 and 2.
They did like the scroll like it's Star Wars.
Yeah. It's very much like Star Wars because Star Wars you start in episode 4. I mean back in the 1970s, so I guess that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, we're in chapter 3, and they're fighting the ships. They're doing a pretty good job of it. It's very comical the way they had it. It's like the ships on strings, 1950s style. And then they eventually get shot down and crash on the planet Arcor, which is where King Zano is based out of. During the point after they land, they are quickly attacked by a giant house cat. Do they ever say what it is?
No, I don't think they really went into any explanation about the house cat, but yeah, it was honestly that I had high hopes after that. I was just like, oh
Yeah.
yes, this is going to be a great movie.
So they're attacking it with like the spear that they find lying around, and then subsequently Chip dies. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. Chip wasn't around in the movie for very long. He's dead already. Well, it's not the last we see of that guy, but it sounds pretty gruesome. Whatever happens to him by the cat. The sound effects are on point for that because you could hear whatever mess was going on there. But I took a note here is like, why is Earth being destroyed? Why are they attacking Earth? I didn't understand why. They didn't really tell me why Zano is attacking Earth. But they do talk about it a little bit in the course of the movie. He's like that's just what I do.
Yeah, I think they even asked at one point or something like that. I know the conversation came up and he didn't really answer. He just kind of went around it and was just like, yeah, I gotta kill it. Like, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. So they go into the chambers to talk to King Zano. The whole thing I liked about that sequence is like how sloppily run King Zano's like kingdom was, because the whole thing with like the nap where he like the advisor told the centurion that he was taking a nap. He's like, don't tell people I'm taking a nap. He's like, well, what can I share with these people then? And then there was as they're bringing Rocky Laser and crew into the throne room, and he's like, oh, let me run back and I'll come out. I'll triumphant like, and he's like, he finally comes back out after they're just kind of standing there waiting for him. He's like, why is the voice not playing? And as soon as he comes out, this like, now announcing King Zano. He's like, no, stop the voice. I don't need it anymore. I'm already out here.
I'm on it.
So I like that whole sequence. That was great.
Yeah.
He's like, why? Which that happens again later.
Yeah.
So during the course of that, Dr. Karlock ends up getting sent to the labs to go work for King Zano, which he seems all too happy to do that. He's like whatever. He's just the objective scientist. He doesn't care who he works for.
Yes.
You have Jean Jarvis is now like betrothed to King Zano. Much to the confusion of Rocky Laser, he's very perturbed by the fact that number one, Jean Jarvis wouldn't profess her love for him, and that she quickly agreed to marry King Zano, which of course she was doing it to save Rocky Laser.
Yeah.
And then he then escapes while they're moving him to one of the many pits they mentioned during the course of the movie. It was like the Pit of Agony or something like that.
Yes. I can't remember which pit is which, because they, like you said, there's so many pits in this movie.
Yeah. This movie is not the pits, but there are several pits in the movie.
If you want a pit, there's a pit in this movie.
Yeah, there are. You can choose it. There are many to choose from. But as they get out there, Rocky Laser, he is then rescued by Chip. Chip Skipper is alive, surprise, and he's with Clarf, the Prince of the Moon Squirrels.
God, the Moon Squirrels. That was so funny. I've been trying to find a picture of him to show our people that are going to be watching this video, because these characters are so ridiculous.
Yeah. So he just like pops up there and he's like, oh yeah, Clarf the Prince of the Moon Squirrels say. And so we see that all happens off screen. This is like one of the few things that happens off screen. One thing they're really good about in this movie is showing and not telling, except for that when they make a joke of like making you read something.
Agreed.
But we then go to a scene. At the end of that scene, they're like, we need to go speak to the sage on another planet. And I like that Chip asked the question, do we have time to do that? It's like, aren't we supposed to just go rescue these people? It's like, do we have a plan? Like, do we have time to go to this ship, fly to another planet, go visit this sage? And it's like, what are we doing? We're already here.
Yeah.
we then go to Dr. Karlock and Gene Jarvis. They're talking, and this is where Gene Jarvis finds out that Dr. Karlock, he's working on the explosion ray that King Zano wants him to work on, and he's actually working on it. And she's like surprised.
Yeah. He's like so happy about it too for some reason.
He's like, "There's a union. I get paid well."
Let's see. Does that show up okay?
Yeah, it's kind of blurry, but yeah, you can kind of see Clarf the moon squirrel there. Yeah. He looks kind of like a John Candy's character in Spaceballs. He looks like Barf. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he looks just like Barf.
The character, not the thing, not the grossness.
Well, or both. Not the best costume.
So we go through that whole sequence though. Then we meet Astra, the princess of who is the daughter of King Zano. Right. She's not a fan of. She basically goes to Gene and is like, you're not my mother. Then that whole sequence, that whole type of thing.
So just also for you guys to know, there's so much that happens in between the things that he's talking about that just don't matter. Like
yeah, we're just we're going past this. We're going past the sleeping, the breathing, the eating, the chewing, the stuff you don't need.
They show so much unnecessary shit in this movie. It was
exhausting. It's like it builds the story though. It kind of it builds the mythology. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Of course, there is more jokes about Gene fainting. Then my favorite part is when Zano asks Dr. Karlock after he gets in there, he's like, after you're done with the explosion ray, can you invent like a anti-faint ray or something?
Yeah, that was definitely the running gag, her fainting throughout this whole thing. Her and then Chip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chip dying was the other running gag. It was very much like oh my god, you killed Kenny type of moment.
Yeah.
Except everybody found it really annoying that Chip kept dying.
Yeah, he kept on dying, and like every time he'd come back, he'd be like, just wait till I tell you the story later. Like.
Yeah, eventually Rocky Layers are like, ugh.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, we get it.
Then we go back to the World Space Headquarters, and we see Dr. Crab and I forget the other doctor's name. It started with a W. It didn't start with W. It started with an M. Dr. Middleton. So Dr.
Close.
Crab and Dr. Middleton. Yeah, it's an upside down W.
Yeah.
And so this is where we get a little more definition into what's going on with the moon as it's kind of getting closer to Earth. And we learned the moon's only 6 miles away at this point, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if it were that close, they make it look much further apart, like maybe a normal distance you would show in a movie. But the moon is only 6 miles away. At that point, it's like way too close, right? We're in like a territory of like Independence Day where the gravity is like sucking things off the ground, right?
Well, I mean, late like pretty much end of the movie, whenever the moon really is like this close to like centimeters away from hitting the Earth, like the babies. Almost like
the two women are like,
yes. You're like, oh yeah, this is realistic. But anyways.
So then we flash back over to the whole thing with that though is that the president. So it's the president, Dr. Crab, Dr. Middleton, and they're going over the options to in case Rocky Laser and his team is not successful. What are we going to do? And they're like, every option is like a way to destroy the moon and blow the crap out of it. It's like they have a missile that will destroy the moon. Or how about a ray that will destroy the moon? And then there's like a picture of him telling a woman in a bar how he destroyed the moon. He's like, oh, that's just for my personal archive there. So
yeah.
Then we get back to the Clarf, Chip, and Rocky Laser. They are now going to see the Sage on the asteroid. And one of the cool things I thought about this was the Acorn ship. They were showing it flying around Clarf's spaceship, and they show it get above the planet, and then whatever they were holding it with, they just drop it onto the planet, and that's how it lands. That was pretty great. But during the course of that, they go into a cave, and there's a few monsters following them. Chip gets killed by those monsters, but they all work for the Sage, so they sick him off of them. The Sage does, and then they proceed to speak to the Sage, which that was an interesting conversation, of course, because he talks to her like she's some sort of like psychiatrist during the course, and is like, what am I doing wrong? Why does she not love me and all this?
Yeah, and like she knew who they were, so why didn't she call off her like little goons before Chip died? I thought that part was a little weird, but I was like, okay, like
the price must be paid.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's paid in Chip.
Paid in Chip. I mean, he comes back anyway, so
yeah. It just has a habit of doing that. But they talk to Lady Actilus. She tells them to go to find Baron Osric on the planet Tog, which we heard mentioned earlier that the King Zeno's planning to use the explosion ray to blow up all the rebels on Tog, who Baron Osric is in charge of. They end up talking about relationship issues. And we then get to the end of chapter 3 and are now moving to chapter 4 after they leave the planet. So as far as chapter 3 goes, what were your thoughts on chapter 3 of this movie?
So kind of like what I said is like the beginning gave you really high hopes for this movie. I was just like, okay, I mean, the first thing they see and interact with is the house cat that's attacking them, and I could not stop laughing at that, because I was like, that was hilarious, because they obviously got a normal sized cat, put a camera very down, like as low as they could, just pointing upwards, so it looked like a monster. I was dying. I thought that was so funny. And then again, the entrance of the king, I was taking a nap, just all this stuff that was really, really funny at first. Like, I thought, okay, this is going to be a good movie. But then very quickly, especially towards the end of it, it just kind of got a little boring. Like,
it relied very heavily on its shtick to move the story forward. Yeah.
And, I mean, and again, this is just chapter 3. We have a few more chapters.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like towards the end of chapter 3, I was like, this is going to be a long movie. Like, I don't think there's going to be enough humor to actually keep me interested. So that was kind of my thoughts with number 3, chapter 3.
Yeah. So going into chapter, I had the same thoughts. I really like the idea of this movie, and we have more to talk about. I really like the idea of this movie. Its variability is not as where I would want it to be, or not as where I expected it. I think they drew things out maybe a little too much. This is one of those. Yeah. We've talked about this before. If this was maybe an hour long, or maybe they cut it down a little bit shorter, because this movie. This hour and a half long movie, it's not originally written as a movie. It was originally written as a play, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. So maybe this isn't translated as well as a on the stage in person play to the film format. Maybe that's what the problem is. I'm sure seeing this as a play would have been like great.
Yeah, because of the feeling. Like, if you're going to see a play, like, you're just in a different mindset.
Yeah. And
feeling the energy from the cast on top of the other crowd. At that point, you'll almost laugh at anything. Like, yeah. But versus watching this Home Alone, it's kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes.
Well, and it goes to the whole thing we talked about before, watching a movie with you and a bunch of other people versus watching it by yourself. There's a whole different vibe to that too. So this may have been one of those things, you watch it with a bunch of other people, and it's maybe it's better watching it with friends. Of course, that's something we really can't do right now.
Yeah.
So
hey, you know what? I've still been looking into ways of doing like a live stream watch movies with friends, because like that might be fun to do. But
yeah, anyway, maybe that's something we need to work on pulling that together. We'll see how that goes.
I think for us, we'll probably be in this quarantine for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute.
Be fun. So,
Yeah.
anyways.
Chapter 4. So chapter 4, we start with the rocket boot fight, which again we're leaning more on the special effects for comedy here, where they're kind of ducking around and they're flying the characters around the screen.
Yeah.
Which it's the play on the obvious green screen effects for that, or not really green screen effects, but the stuff that they would do back in the 1930s, where the guy would just stand there and they would move the background behind him and he would just kind of be ducking around and they would just put the film scratches in there to show the laser.
Just like on was that 2 episodes ago, the black hole, like in that movie where they like the camera. Oh, the black hole is serious. Yeah, the camera is moving, but the guy, yeah, just like that. Yeah, like the guy, like the rocket's supposed to be stopped, like it's not supposed to be shaking anymore, but the guy's still in his seat, like pretending it's happening.
Yeah,
it's that kind of stuff.
But we then so the fight's going pretty well. He's basically fighting these what do they call them, space highwaymen.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Chip's fighting them off. He's flying the Acorn ship. He's fighting them off, but then he wasn't paying attention. He flew into the side of a mountain. So Chip explodes. So death number 3 for Chip. At that point, Clark and Rocky, the only 2 left, they get captured. And who should capture them but Baron Osric? These are not the highwaymen. They are, in fact, the rebels on the planet Tog. They're trapped there. They get tied up. But one of the things that we learn is that Baron Osric, he's actually deeply in love with Astra, the daughter of King Zeno. King Zeno? Zeno? I'm blanking on it. King Zeno, I think it is. If I remember, we'll rewind later and make sure I'm saying it consistently throughout the movie or throughout this podcast. But he's deeply in love with Princess Astra, and there's the question of where his allegiances lie. Is it with King Zeno truly, or is it with the rebels and against Zeno?
Yeah.
And Astra comes to Tog when Rocky Laser and Clark are there, and she's been wanting to capture Rocky Laser for a while because she heard how like handsome and debonair he was, and so she sees him there and she convinces Baron Osric to let him go. And he's talking this is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. He's talking about how much he loves her and how much respect she has for him, and how he's going to do all this, that, and the other, and he's going to defeat King Zeno, and then they're going to go off and have this happy life together. And Astra's just laughing her ass off in the background, very loudly and very obviously.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. But he hands over Rocky Laser to her, and they go off the fly to back to the the King's planet.
You can just say King.
The King's planet. And to go there. However, we find later that she forgot to take his rocket boots, and then he escapes from her. So that's fast forwarding a little bit, but that's basically how that scene goes later.
Yeah.
We then go back to the lab. Dr. Karlock is there, and Jean is like, "Hey, we need to escape. I have like a 10-point plan. Point 1 is you go up to the Centurion and you knock him out and steal his costume." And he's like, "That's not really my forte." And she's like, "You can do it. You just gotta walk up to him and knock him out." And then the Centurion walks in there, and I think he hears them talking about it. And the Centurion goes up to him, and he had stolen the plans to the gravity laser.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Centurion walks up to him, gives him every chance to knock him out, and he basically is like, "Nope," and he hands over the plans, and he's like, "I'm out."
Which this guy, the what's his name? You just said it.
Dr. Karlock.
Yeah, he's like almost thrilled to be working for the King. Like they find out like he's getting paid to do it, to work for him. Like, yeah, he's getting paid. He has all these perks. He's happy. Yeah, I love. There's one scene where he has on like headphones and then like almost like the end of all my cords. He's just like dangling them and like touching them together. Yeah. like obviously not doing anything. Just
he's just like he's testing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like doing the most pointless shit, and it was so funny that. Besides the beginning of this movie, I laughed really hard at that because really it's like just two ends of a cable not connected to anything that he's just like touching them like that. This is like, what are you even doing? Yeah. You're getting paid for this? Like, anyways, good.
Yeah. And so that's how that scene goes. We then go back to the World Space Headquarters, and this is where this was another one of my favorite scenes where they're trying to contact the X-1. And Dr. Middleton and Dr. Crab, they're talking to each other, and this is like you get the scene in the trailer where basically Dr. Crab is like making shit up because he doesn't know how to fix the radio.
Yes.
And he gets called out on it, and that's a pretty great scene as well.
Yeah, I love that too. He's just like, "Are you just saying random things because you don't know what you're doing?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. But they get saved. Though they do get saved, Dr. Karlock and Jean by Rocky Laser. He, in fact, just on his own did Jean's plan. He knocked a guard out and stole his uniform, which they don't play that very strongly, but it's just kind of said off to the side, and you're like, oh, he did that plan. So, but they get them, they rescue them, and they go to escape in another ship. I forget which ship they use. But they end up getting chased by what's the guy's name? Nefaro or Nefario,
yeah.
And they're escaping. And it's on the ship is the explosion ray, and they're like, Dr. Karlock, did you finish the explosion ray?
Which I'm gonna skip ahead. He later on, obviously, spoiler alert, whenever they save the world and move the moon back to where it needs to go, blah, blah, blah. They pull out this space champagne that he bought himself to celebrate finishing that ray.
The explosion ray, yeah.
Yeah. He was so proud of it, and he like bought himself shit to celebrate it, and he's like, okay, I guess we'll open this and celebrate that we saved the world. Like, he was almost disappointed.
So they go to... they're about to get blown up by the explosion ray. Chip hops out in his rocket boots and he gets in the way. He holds his nose when it goes out into space, which I thought was fun. And he gets destroyed by the explosion ray. He blocks the shot, and then I believe they turn around and they blow up the ship that the Nefario is on.
Yeah.
And so they destroy the explosion ray. And I think you see a little look of sadness on Dr. Karlock. He's like, oh, my work.
Yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I think Chip, I forget where this happens, but Chip is alive again and he gets stabbed. I forget who stabs him.
Ooh. Oh, so it's whenever they're whenever they're captured, in the jail cell. He lets them out, like he saves them, Chip saves them.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and gets stabbed by a guard randomly.
Yeah. So he's dead again. He was alive and then he's dead. He's alive and he's dead. And it's not like I feel like the time, like they cut the time in half for how long he's alive and how long he takes him to come back. So he dies and he comes back quicker and quicker and quicker from here on out to the movie.
So these also, I want to talk about these ships. All the ships are like little cut, like they look like cardboard, like almost like something my nephews would make, like they're like little punch, like you get a giant card and you punch out all the pieces and you make a little ship with it. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the art department did a not too shabby job.
If
they're going purposely for that look, so.
Yeah, a lot of the graphics are horrific, and I can tell you why later at the end of this explanation.
So I think just getting ahead, as they're preparing to go destroy the gravity ray. One of the funniest parts of the movie is where I forget what leads up to it, but they all end up yelling "screw you" at Dr. Karlock. It's like, screw you. And Dr.
Just
Karlock,
keeps on
like,
yelling that.
he's got his leg up on the tree, like 90 degrees. He's just like leaning on the tree with his leg. And he's like, what? And then like Rocky Lasers like joins her. And he's like, yeah, screw you.
And he's like, are you just taking out anger just on me, even though it has nothing to do with me? And they're like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, screw you.
Like, all right, I'll help you if you stop saying screw you. No. Okay, I'll still help you.
Like, well, I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
But like we also see this this journey of self-actualization with Rocky Laser, as well as he becomes like more self-aware up to like his reality and how he is. It comes into a little bit of effect after they get captured once again, where he's like I will rescue you, but I want to make sure everybody's okay before I do anything. And then once he things get so dire that he just has to jump into action and punch some of these guys out, and he's just like, is that what you want? I'll just punch everybody out. Woo!
Yeah, he's like losing it.
Yeah. Yeah, we went a little Nicolas Cage there for a second.
Yes, Nicolas Cage.
So just fast forwarding, because I'm forgetting the order of how things occurred at the end of the movie.
Honestly, it doesn't even matter in this movie. It could be so out of order. It wouldn't even matter.
So they get out there, they get to the gravity ray, and there was like a back of the envelope sketch of the gravity ray, and they were like trying to figure out the switch, what happened with the switch and where it was.
Which the diagram of it did not match the thing itself at all.
Yeah, it didn't even look like it.
No.
So they get out there, they go and turn the gravity ray off, and they're like, wait a second, we heard now just a few minutes prior that the moon was only half a mile away from the Earth, which again looks much further than half a mile.
And like even if it's that close, the Earth is pretty much already destroyed.
Yeah, yeah, we're already done. Yeah,
yeah,
it's already in the atmosphere at this point.
Yeah, we are done either way, but whatever.
So they turn off the gravity ray, but they realize the moon's still getting closer and closer to Earth because oh, gravity, we didn't even think about that. So they hop on the X1 and they fly over there and they wrap a chain around the moon and they pull it away from Earth. And they are congratulated by the president, and they make Rocky Laser the officially. I thought he was already had this position, but they officially make him the captain of space.
Oh man, I must have been asleep by this time.
Jean Jarvis has now professed her love for him, for Rocky Laser, now that he's self-actualized and treats her like a real human being, and they all live somewhat happily ever after. And it kind of sets it up for a further serial installments, like you would see in any other like Buck Rogers TV show or whatnot. So that is more the long and short of it. That is Space Captain, the Captain of Space.
That's the movie. Ooh, doggy. So, do you want to guess the budget for this movie?
It had to be like in like maybe the tens of thousands.
$5,000.
$5,000. Hey, they did pretty good for $5,000 budget. It's not too shabby. And hey, I'm not knocking it. They got it on Amazon Prime, so they're probably getting a lot more than $5,000 for this movie. They've made profit. That's the goal.
But it definitely explains a lot. That's for sure. Like, there's a lot of things to like. I mean, honestly, the thought ran through my head, like with the ships, like, do they do that to be funny or to be cheap or both? Like, and my thought is probably both.
Oh yeah, because again, they were going for that whole 1930s aesthetic for the movie. I feel like you can tell very obviously they were leaning on like your Buck Rogers, your Prince of Spaces, your From the Earth to the Moon, like those old style talkie movies like that showed like travel in space before people had even been to space before, so people didn't know what it was like. So they were leaning very heavily on that whole aesthetic, and I feel like they executed the visual portion of that very well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, sorry, phone's doing something weird. I was gonna read you something. Okay, so before we talk about our likes, our dislikes, all that kind of stuff, I wanted to say the rating on IMDb is a 7 out of 10, which is pretty good, especially 54 ratings, people rating it. That's really high.
Yeah.
Really, whenever you read the reviews, I mean, the lowest one I see is like an 8. Like that's pretty incredible. So I just wanted to say that before.
Is it an 8% or is that an 8 out of 10?
8 out of 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was very, very amazed. So let's talk about. Let's switch it up. Let's talk about what did you like about this movie.
We talked about it a little bit. I liked the humor. I liked the whole aesthetic of it. Again, I grew up watching a lot of these movies. These Buck Rogers old serials. The Prince of Space. I keep citing Prince of Space because it was like one of my favorites. Because the whole thing with Prince of Space was I believe the bad guy's name in that movie was Zarkor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like shooting lasers at him. And Prince of Space was like, your lasers have no effect on me. And they keep shooting him with lasers, and he just stand there and the lasers just shoot him. And he's like, these lasers have no effect on me. Why you keep shooting me with the lasers? But again, it was it was like another like in our looking at it from like 70, 80, 90 years in the future. It's like a very silly escapade, which it maybe looked very serious back then, a very serious sci-fi movie. But like from our perspective, it's like, what the hell were they doing? That's like the dorkiest thing. But it captures that aesthetic very well. And it even with the pacing, which the pacing I feel like maybe, and this is going into maybe my dislikes, the pacing leaves something to be desired. But the overall aesthetic, the visuals, the humor, it was pretty good for what it was.
Okay. So for me, what I liked, Ooh, this is not a good long pause. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. It really was. I would have to say I really like the extremely obvious humor. Because there's a lot of like subtle humor and extremely like the cat, the planes, the spaceships, the king coming out being pissed off that he said nap, just that kind of stuff that it was flat out really like supposed to be funny. I like that stuff. Really, I thought was pretty good. I wish there was more of that, honestly, but that's fine. As usual, let's break it up and talk about the MVP. So I'll start off. The MVP for me, it's the cat.
The cat.
The cat. I mean, oh man, that cat was badass. On top of, it was just so funny and unexpected. Like, just they land on this planet, they're walking around, and all of a sudden, it's an obvious just house cat attacking them, and like lasers doesn't affect it. Like it was pretty great. I was just like, this cat wins. I was hoping it would be in more of the movie, but it was not.
Yeah. So, yeah, it had its one moment there.
Cat
took out Chip, the bullet sponge there.
That's right. What about you? Your MVP?
All right, so my MVP is in that it was one of the humans. I actually found my MVP to be, and it goes along with the theme of this movie of just kind of having the self-actualization of a person throughout the course of these events. But Baron Osric, I found him a really interesting character, and I'll tell you why. In a lot of these movies, when you have one of these characters who's like in love with one of the bad guys, and he just can't see what's going on, he typically dies before the end of the movie, being betrayed by this person that they had so much love for. But what you see with Baron Osric, eventually towards the end of the movie, he's like, Astra, you know what? I want to admit this. Astra, she's pretty terrible. And he's just like, they end up like, I think they end up tying her to a tree and then like leaving her there.
Yeah.
Like they just forgot about her. But my favorite part was when they're just, everybody's talking, he's like, she's kind of a jerk. I don't like her.
Yeah, she
after he's been like
professing.
Yeah, after he's been like professing how much he loves her throughout the course of the movie. So like it showed that like, again, in a very humorous way, but it showed that Baron Osric felt like his self-worth and he knew he didn't deserve that sort of thing. So I thought that was a pretty great moment for a character, and it kind of gave some depth to the Baron Osric character. In addition to what they did with Rocky Laser, it kind of played off of that whole feel a little bit.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. I did like that too. I loved that scene whenever he finally was just like, no, I'm just gonna. That was around the time where they just started yelling the "screw you" thing. He was just like,
yeah, that was right about that time. Yeah, because Osric's like, screw you, old chap.
All right. What is dislikes? We did likes, right? Yeah. So dislikes.
Yeah, we likes. So dislikes.
Oh man. It was boring. For me, I mean, like I said at the beginning of chapter 3, I was like all on board, and then it lost me pretty quick. I mean, I tried really, really hard to sit there and to stay focused and like watch it, because I was like, okay, I really want to give it a shot. You know, it's okay. There, you know, movies, there's some boring space. Just watch it. Just watch it. I was so bored. Even the funny things, I kind of just like smiled at. Honestly, I'm laughing more now talking about it than I did on the actual movie. I do think it would have been better to watch with people on this one. But I think I've said this, if I feel bored or just that things are going nowhere, you lose me. You just do.
Yeah.
So I just felt that way pretty quick into this movie. What about you?
Yeah.
What did you dislike?
I will say I had a similar problem with it, but I really put it down to specifically the pacing of the movie. I think I mentioned this earlier. And I think the problem with this was that when they did the translation from the stage to the movie, I think they probably retooled a few things, but the overall vibe of the movie, it was like when you do a stage presentation, and particularly for something that's a comedic presentation, you leave in gaps and space for people to laugh and respond to respond to what's going on stage. And when that takes certain beats and certain things get set up in a certain way. I mean, just think of like if you ever watch the show Friends, the way they talk, there's a laugh track on that. There's a laugh track on the show, right? Try watching it. There's a few YouTube videos of this. Try watching it without the laugh track, and it occurs in a very unnatural way, and it takes away like the enjoyment of the show, because it's like it doesn't flow right without that laugh track in there.
Yeah, sure.
And without that audience response. And I feel like in this movie, if there was maybe a laugh track, which I'm not suggesting they put a laugh track in this, but if there were some sort of audience response in the movie, it probably would have helped a little bit to restore the flow of the story, because that's how it was originally conceived of. 100%. It was built with that pacing and built with that pattern. So if they were to take that, I feel like it needed to be retooled a little more. It's an overall great story. I thought it was hilarious, but it wasn't correctly configured for this format. I think it needed to be played with a little bit more, because again, the pacing was kind of off for me, and there was too much dead space, or there was too much of the same thing consistently happening. But because that would work, that would definitely work on the stage, but it doesn't work on the screen as much. So that's what I don't like about it.
I agree with that. I would even be okay if they threw in that laugh track. I really do. I think I would be okay with that. Just
it'd be interesting to have a movie with a laugh track on it.
Yes, I would watch it to see what happens. You never know. So better than Hardcore Henry?
Yes, better than Hardcore Henry. Hands down for me.
No, I'd watch Hardcore Henry over this. I would.
Split decision.
So more than likely, Cheers or Party Foul is going to be mixed too. So Cheers or Party Foul?
Yeah. So for me, I would say this is split decision just for Anthony here. If this is me watching this alone by myself, or not, I didn't watch it by myself. I watched it with my wife. But if it were just like me and my wife watching it again, I'd probably say Party Foul. However, if we were watching it with a bunch of people and just kind of like there's just like all laughing at it, I think that would make it probably an immensely better experience. And so in that situation, in that environment, cheers. I would go see this in a theater. Or even better, I'd go see this as a play on stage. That'd probably be freaking awesome. But just watching it alone in the confines of my home during a quarantine, I would wait a while to watch it again.
You know what? I was all set in saying, fuck no, don't watch this movie. But I think I agree with you. By myself, I would not watch it again. There's no way. If I was with friends, yeah, I think it would be a fun one to sit there and just crack jokes at and just rip it apart. I could do it that way. But oh geez, that was rough.
So as we are discussing this, I am getting messages from my wife because she can hear me as I'm recording this, and she did want me to tell everybody that while this movie was going on, she did fall asleep. So she really wasn't there to laugh with me. So she did fall asleep during the course of the movie. But in the movie's defense, she falls asleep during lots of movies. So this is not the only movie she's fallen asleep through. She's fallen asleep in like movie theater movies as well. So it happens.
I did doze off.
You can doze. I did get tired during the course of the movie, but it was also Saturday afternoon when I watched this. So
yeah. So there you go. Pretty much the conclusion is watch at your own risk.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
watch.
Good way to
watch
put that.
with friends. Watch safely. Watch with your buddies.
Yeah. Get together via Zoom, hit play at the same time, and watch it. Like
that'll make it. I think that would make it a lot more enjoyable. Yes.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Take the drive-through. I would watch it there. That'd be great.
Oh yeah. Especially if you could yell at your friends from across the car.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's that movie. So let's move on to our next part, which is what are we enjoying? And I'll go ahead and start us. So I'm really enjoying the new Childish Gambino album. If you don't know, he released it end of June.
Weeks ago.
Yeah. Around I think it was around the end of June. I honestly didn't even know about it until I was just like, oh, you know what? I'm in the mood for Childish Gambino. I looked it up. I was like, oh, he has a new album out. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So I put it on. I went through the whole album a couple of times already. Just very, very him. I mean, every song is different, unique. He goes from easy to crazy. Just like he's all over the place. That's one thing I love about him is he doesn't really stick to a certain style. One song can be, what is that? This Is America. The next song can be Redbone. Like, just like he really is just so like
he's
everywhere.
Definitely versatile.
Yeah. Yes, I love it so much. I mean, last night I even posted on my Instagram. It was just like, all right, it's a Childish Gambino kind of night. Just threw it on shuffle and just had it going for a long time. Just like that. It was just a great. I love him as an actor. Different people.
Are you confusing him with Donald Glover? Because I know a lot of people confuse Childish Gambino with Donald Glover. That's two different people.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. But overall, he's a super talented guy. His music, I love it. I vote for him for president 2020. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, it's him or Kanye, right?
Oh, jeez. Idiocracy, here he come.
Yeah, right.
Depending who wins, we might have to do that movie. So, anyways, look it up, go listen to it. It's a really fun album. So, Anthony, what you got?
All right, so this movie, mine is kind of based around this movie. So I've always had a place in my heart for symphonic music, classical music. And this movie, the music in this movie was basically, I think, 100% based or comes from the Gustav Holst's Planet Suite. If you're not familiar with it, I guarantee you've heard it before. And if you are to watch the trailer and to listen to some of the music in the trailer, this is the music that plays throughout the movie. But like throughout the movie, you could hear like the Mars, the Bringer of War. I believe there's the Jupiter Suite, the Mercury Suite are all in there. Gustav Holst, I was a fan of his when I was in high school because he also wrote two different opuses. I believe it was the first suite and the second suite, which if you were to listen to those, very familiar music. I'm sure you've heard at least the melodies of his music in other places. They get used like in commercials, TV shows. They go all over the place. But the Planet Suite, listen to it at least once. That was like I actually, after hearing it in this movie, I was like, I need to sit down and just listen to the whole thing. I believe there's a movement for each planet. It's great music. It's good to just sit, listen to, and just kind of let the sonic awesomeness just kind of envelop you. It's great music. So that's my thing. Gustav Holst's Opus 32, The Planets, great music.
I went ahead and added that to my list to listen to.
Yeah,
so.
most definitely.
Every time you talk about an artist, I'm like, all right, I'll add this to my list. Why not? But cool, man. Cool.
My other thing is figuring out Instagram because I'm trying to learn Instagram now.
Yes.
That's my other thing. I am bad at Instagram, so I'm trying to learn Instagram.
Once
my
he
wife
changes his name, go follow him, and then maybe eventually we'll work on our actual podcast Instagram, get that shit going.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I interact a little bit better. It's like, so I'm driving the bus on that because I accidentally set it up on my account, and I don't know how to I fix that. So
that's great. So, all right, what's our next movie?
So our next movie is Iron Sky: The Coming Race.
Yes. So it's actually the second movie of Iron Sky, but we decided just to go ahead and jump to the second one because it seems interesting.
Hey,
so
why not? Yeah. It's
so
also the only one available on Netflix. So
yeah, that's another reason. It's free. So again, as always, please give us a rating. This is gonna be on YouTube, the video part of it. So please subscribe to our YouTube. If the video doesn't suck enough, it'll be up. You can obviously follow us on Instagram at Let's Instapod. Facebook is Let's Do a Podcast. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Facebook is Let's Do a Podcast. Instagram is Let's Instapod. And Twitter is Let's Tweet a Pod. I'm bad. I'm terrible about keeping up on Twitter. I'm trying to focus. I can do one or the other. I can't do both.
That's it. Really, eventually, I got to get one of the others to help. But
yeah.
So you can follow us there. Also, wherever you're listening to this, please give us a rating and a review. Those really do help. I know that we've gotten a few ratings on iTunes, but no reviews yet, which is fine. I even like seeing that we get ratings. Hopefully this video will turn out so we can start doing videos of this too, because it's kind of fun. Hopefully, I know we've had a few people say, "Hey, I want to see the videos of it." So here you go.
Yeah, we've had Victor on a few of the previous weeks, and he keeps telling us, "You got to get this on video." I was like, "All right, we'll try video. Let's see how it goes."
So yeah, we'll see how this recording thing works. And then, we'll see what happens. I'm always trying to expand and figure out what we're going to do, especially while we think quarantine's going to be here for a while for us, because we are being extra careful.
Yep. Oh, but, also, wear your face mask.
Please.
Please do that.
Just that simple.
I'd like to go do other stuff and not stay in my house all the time. Please wear a face mask.
No politics. Just wear it.
Just do it.
Done. And also, Black Lives Matter. Just gonna say
yes. That. Also that Black Lives Matter. Yes.
Yeah. We support our our fellow brothers and sisters and humans and what's happening right now. So I just want to say that too. All right. So now that's done, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we cannot wait to talk to you later. So Anthony, how do we end this?
Should we maybe let's end the podcast?
We should end the podcast. See you guys.
Yes. Peace.